Rolling.
Could you take us through your initial meeting with Bubba and how you went about figuring out what needed to be worked on and really what your game plan was going to be?
When I actually had my interview with Bubba, I sat down and I talked to him about a few things that he struggled with, what I felt I really got to hear what he felt he struggled with. But before that, I actually spoke with some people really close to Bubba, and I found out how they felt Bubba dealt with stress and competitive golf. And that gave me a lot of ideas about how to target the whole conversation in the interview with Bubba. And I knew that he had struggled with attention, staying focused on the golf course. I knew he'd struggled with energy, fatigue, and even anger issues. And I knew a lot of that was going to be correlated to our nutrition. And that was the first thing I thought, well, we're going to change nutrition. And I told him that. And I told him if we changed nutrition and we focused on nutrition first and foremost, these things would happen. And it just so happened that it matched up to the things that he needed to work on. And that was perfect. So number one, nutrition was number one in our book. I knew that right from the get-go of our interview.
Did you assess him physically or go through and test any things with him to sort of see mobility or flexibility or anything there that needed to be worked on that you knew, or how to structure, how to get into the physical components of golf fitness?
After, and still in the interview, I knew that I would have to work with Bubba, but I wouldn't be able to actually do any kind of physical assessments until I was actually in his presence. So we did that on my first week, and that would have been the PGA Championship of 2009 at Hazeltine. And I came in, I rehauled everything. I threw out everything that was in the house, all the food. And I brought in fruits, I brought in vegetables, I brought in beef jerky, nuts. And then after all that was done, I taught them a little bit about nutrition because it was a lifestyle change. And what was neat about Bubba is that everyone around him adopted it too. The entire team Watson changed their diet. And then we could move into other things. The support was incredible. And then I was able to do some muscle testing and some physical assessments with Bubba to find out exactly where he was at physically. And then I had a really good understanding about what we were going to do in the gym and also for therapy.
And what is it that you came up with? What did you guys do differently than he had been doing?
Well, Bubba hadn't been doing anything. He's never even been in a gym. He told me right now he used to skip out when the Georgia team used to hit the weight room. Bubba didn't know anything, so whatever I told him, he listened. And that's one of the greatest things about working for Bubba is he's probably the best student I've ever had. He's diligent, he listens, and he doesn't question it. He just trusts, and that's really special. Because I think, love's a given, but trust is usually earned. And with Bubba, he almost gave me trust right away, and I think that's extremely rare.
What differences have you seen in Bubba's game since you started working with him?
I'd say probably the biggest difference was, and it probably came from our nutrition change, was his focus. Bubba's ability to focus, it's like this hyper focus, this level that he can reach that I don't ever see in any other player. And I was shocked, but he couldn't do it all the time. It would come in and out. It was like being in the zone, but only temporarily. So it was up to me to figure out what kind of foods we could add to his diet to actually start this process of being able to focus for a longer period of time. And we didn't do it fast. I didn't want any drastic changes. It was small little changes. And eventually, I saw a player that couldn't turn it off, couldn't stop focusing. I mean, he was focusing so much, he couldn't stop. And when he's in contention, he's a real threat.
Let's run a hold off till the wind stops.
It's been